Imagine this. You're walking through an endless building. Each corridor looks exactly like the last. Your heart starts racing as you realize you can't find your way out. The more you try to escape, the more the hallways seem to multiply. This is one of the most common dreams people experience worldwide. Whether you're lost in a dense forest, a sprawling city, or a maze-like building, the feeling is always the same, a mix of confusion, anxiety, and a desperate need to find your way back. But here's what makes this dream fascinating. It rarely appears when you're actually lost in real life. Instead, it tends to surface when you're feeling overwhelmed by life's choices or stuck in a situation that feels impossible to escape. Think about it. Maybe you're in a job that's going nowhere, but you're not sure if you should leave. Or perhaps you're facing a major life decision, and all the options seem equally confusing. Your mind transforms this emotional maze into a physical one while you sleep. The location where you find yourself lost is particularly important. If you're lost in a forest, it might reflect feeling lost in your natural instincts or emotions. A city setting often represents feeling overwhelmed by social or professional obligations. A building? That could be about feeling trapped in structures or systems you've created in your own life. Here's what's really interesting. In many of these dreams, the exit is actually nearby, but we're too panicked to notice it. Sound familiar? Sometimes in life, we're so focused on our stress that we miss the solutions right in front of us. Next time you have this dream, try to remember one detail. What exactly are you looking for? The thing you're searching for in the dream often represents what you feel is missing in your waking life, whether it's direction, purpose, or simply peace of mind. And here's a question for you to ponder. Where do you usually find yourself lost in your dreams? Is it always the same place, or does it change? Take a moment to share your experience in the comments below. You might be surprised how many others have similar dreams. Now, let's move on to our second dream type, one that might seem completely different at first, but actually shares some interesting connections with feeling lost. Picture this scenario. You're running through a station, luggage in hand, heart pounding. You can see your train or plane right there, just a few steps away. But no matter how fast you run, you watch it pull away without you, always just a few seconds too late. This dream is particularly fascinating because it almost always follows the same pattern. It's never about missing transportation by hours. It's always those few agonizing seconds that make the difference. Just close enough to almost make it, but not quite. The interesting thing about transportation dreams isn't actually about the vehicles themselves. It's about what they represent: movement, progress, and opportunities in your life. When you dream about missing a train or plane, your subconscious might be processing fears about missed chances or opportunities slipping away. Maybe you've been thinking about starting a new project, but keep putting it off. Or perhaps there's a conversation you know you need to have, but you can't find the right moment. These missed connections in our dreams often mirror the connections we're hesitant to make in real life. But here's something most people don't realize about these dreams. The type of transportation matters. Missing a train often relates to career or life path decisions, like traditional planned routes you feel you should follow. Missing a plane might represent bigger life ambitions or dreams that feel out of reach. And a missed bus? That could be about feeling left behind while others move forward together. What's particularly revealing is how you react in the dream. Do you give up and go home, try to find another route, or run alongside the vehicle? Your reaction in the dream often mirrors your typical response to setbacks in real life. The good news is that these dreams rarely predict actual missed opportunities. Instead, they're often a wake-up call from your subconscious, asking you to pay attention to the opportunities around you right now. They're reminding you that while some trains might leave the station, there's always another one coming, if you're ready to catch it. Here's a thought to consider. What's your usual transportation in these dreams? And more importantly, where were you trying to go? Sometimes the destination is just as revealing as the journey itself. But speaking of journeys, let's talk about another common dream that's all about the path you're on. This next one involves being in a vehicle, but with a very different kind of problem. Have you ever had that terrifying dream where you're in a car and suddenly the brakes stop working? Or maybe you're sitting behind the wheel, but no matter how hard you turn it, the car won't respond. Some people even dream about their car suddenly shifting into reverse on a busy highway. These car trouble dreams are among the most nerve-wracking experiences we can have while sleeping, and they're also some of the most symbolic. Unlike our previous dreams about missing transportation, these dreams are all about one thing: control, or more specifically, the fear of losing it. Think about what a car represents in our daily lives. It's a tool that gives us independence, allows us to choose our direction, and puts us in control of our journey. So when our dream car starts malfunctioning, it's often reflecting situations in our lives where we feel that control slipping away. The specific car problem in your dream can tell you a lot about what you're really worried about. Brake failures often appear when you feel unable to stop a situation from spiraling. A steering wheel that won't turn might represent feeling unable to change direction in life. And that car suddenly going in reverse, it could mean you feel like you're losing progress or being forced to go backward. What's particularly interesting is where you are in the car during these dreams. Are you in the driver's seat, the passenger seat, the back seat? Each position tells a different story about how much control you feel you have or should have in your current situation. But here's something unexpected. These dreams don't always mean you're actually losing control. Sometimes they're telling you that you're trying to control too much. Just like a white-knuckled grip on a steering wheel can actually make it harder to drive smoothly, sometimes our attempts to control everything in life can create the very problems we're trying to avoid. Next time you have this dream, try to notice one crucial detail: what's outside the car. The environment around you, whether it's a familiar road, a cliff edge, or a completely empty highway, often represents the situation you're trying to navigate in your waking life. And here's a reassuring thought. Just like most car troubles can be fixed with the right help, the situations these dreams reflect usually have solutions too. Sometimes we just need to be willing to pull over and ask for directions, so to speak. Speaking of feeling out of control, let's talk about another incredibly common dream that brings up similar feelings of helplessness, but in a completely different setting. A dream that takes many of us right back to our school days. Here's a strange one. You're back in school, sitting at a small desk that feels too tight. There's a crucial exam in front of you, but something's terribly wrong. Maybe you haven't studied at all, or you can't find the classroom, or your pencil keeps breaking every time you try to write. The clock is ticking, and panic sets in. Now here's what makes this dream particularly fascinating. Most people having these dreams are long done with school. In fact, these test anxiety dreams are incredibly common among successful professionals who haven't taken an exam in decades. So what's really going on here? The key isn't actually about tests or school at all. These dreams tend to surface when we're feeling evaluated or judged in our current lives. Your sleeping brain takes that modern stress and translates it into one of the earliest experiences of evaluation we all share, the school exam. Let's break down some common variations of this dream, because each one has its own message. If you can't find the classroom, you might be feeling unprepared for an upcoming challenge. If you're staring at a test in a subject you never studied, it could reflect feeling out of your depth in a new situation. But here's something that might surprise you. These dreams often show up right when we're most capable. They're particularly common among high achievers and perfectionists. Why? Because these are the people who put the most pressure on themselves to perform perfectly. Think about it. When was the last time you had this dream? Was it before a job interview, a presentation, or maybe when you were about to take on a new responsibility? The test in your dream is usually a stand-in for whatever challenge you're facing in your waking life. There's also an interesting phenomenon called imposter syndrome that often triggers these dreams. That's when you feel like you might be found out as not being good enough, despite all evidence of your competence. Sound familiar? Many professionals experience this, and it often manifests in these school-themed dreams. But here's the empowering part. Just like those school tests that seemed overwhelming at the time, the challenges these dreams reflect are usually much more manageable than they appear. Your brain is simply processing your normal anxieties about performance and competence. Next time you have this dream, try to remember, what subject was the test in? The subject often symbolizes the area of life where you're feeling tested. A math test might represent challenges with practical problems, while a literature test could symbolize communication concerns. Now, let's move on to one of the most intense types of dreams, one that gets your heart racing even more than test anxiety. I'm talking about chase dreams, and they might not mean what you think they do. Your heart is pounding. Your breathing is rapid. You're running as fast as you can, but you can't seem to move fast enough. Something or someone is chasing you, and no matter how many turns you take or doors you go through, you can't seem to shake them off. Chase dreams are some of the most heart-pounding experiences we can have while sleeping, and they're especially common among people dealing with anxiety. But here's what makes them truly fascinating. It's not about what's chasing you, it's about what you're running from. In these dreams, the pursuer can take many forms. Sometimes it's a mysterious figure whose face you can't quite see. Other times it's a wild animal, a monster, or even something as abstract as a shadow or a storm. But regardless of what form it takes, the chase itself is almost always about something you're avoiding in your waking life. Think about it. What situations or emotions have you been running from lately? Maybe it's a difficult conversation you need to have, a decision you've been putting off, or even feelings of grief or anger you're not ready to face. Your subconscious mind transforms these emotional pursuits into physical ones while you sleep. What's particularly revealing is how you react in the dream. Do you keep running without looking back? Do you try to hide, or do you eventually face your pursuer? Your response in the dream often mirrors your typical approach to confronting problems in real life. Here's something most people don't realize. The thing chasing you in your dream is often a part of yourself, specifically a part you're trying to ignore or suppress. That shadowy figure might represent your ambitions, your fears, or even positive changes you're resistant to making. The environment of the chase is significant too. Are you running through a familiar place like your home or workplace? Or are you in an unknown landscape? The setting often reflects the area of life where you feel pursued by these unresolved issues. But here's the most empowering part about chase dreams. You always have the option to stop running. In fact, many people report that when they finally turn around to face their pursuer in the dream, one of two things happens. Either the pursuer disappears, or it transforms into something much less threatening than they imagined. This mirrors a profound truth about life. The things we run from often seem more frightening than they actually are when we finally face them. Sometimes, the very act of turning to face our fears diminishes their power over us. Next time you have a chase dream, try to remember one crucial detail. What emotion were you feeling during the chase? Was it pure fear, or was there perhaps a hint of excitement? Sometimes what seems like a pursuit is actually your subconscious urging you toward something you need to embrace. Speaking of facing fears, let's talk about another common dream that taps into some of our deepest anxieties about ourselves. A dream that might seem completely different from being chased, but actually shares some interesting connections about what we fear most. You reach up to touch your mouth, and suddenly your teeth start crumbling. Or maybe they're falling out one by one, dropping into your hands like loose pearls. Some people even dream of their teeth turning to cotton or dissolving like sugar in water. If you've ever had this dream, you know just how unsettling it can be. Tooth loss dreams are so common that they appear across cultures and throughout history. But here's what's fascinating. While different cultures have their own interpretations, the core emotions these dreams trigger are remarkably universal: vulnerability, powerlessness, and concern about how others perceive us. In modern psychology, these dreams often connect to three main areas of our lives: our self-image, our confidence in communication, and our fear of losing power or influence. Think about it. Our teeth are quite literally part of the face we present to the world. When we dream about losing them, we're often processing deeper anxieties about losing our ability to face something in our lives. Let's break this down further. In social situations, we often think about our smile. It's one of our most powerful tools for making connections and expressing ourselves. When you dream about losing teeth, it might reflect feelings of powerlessness in your social interactions. Maybe you're in a situation where you feel unable to speak up, or perhaps you're worried about saying the wrong thing. The way your teeth fall out in the dream can offer additional insights. If they crumble, you might be feeling like your confidence is slowly eroding. If they fall out all at once, you could be facing a sudden loss of confidence or a situation where you feel instantly powerless. And if they turn to cotton or dissolve, it might suggest you feel your strength or authority is somehow being dissolved away. But here's something unexpected. These dreams don't always indicate negative things. Sometimes they appear during periods of transition and growth. Just as children lose their baby teeth to make way for stronger adult teeth, these dreams might show up when you're shedding old parts of yourself to make way for new growth. The reactions of others in your dream are particularly telling. Are you trying to hide your tooth loss from people? Are you surprised that no one seems to notice? Or are you frantically trying to collect your fallen teeth? These scenarios often reflect your concerns about how others perceive you during vulnerable moments. Here's an interesting cultural note. In some traditions, dreaming of losing teeth is actually seen as a sign of upcoming good fortune or personal growth. It's viewed as letting go of the old to make way for the new, like a snake shedding its skin. Next time you have this dream, pay attention to your immediate reaction when you wake up. Many people's first instinct is to check their teeth in the mirror. This instinctive response shows just how deeply these dreams tap into our concerns about integrity and wholeness. Now, let's move on to our final dream type. One that might seem frightening at first, but actually carries one of the most transformative messages of all. I'm talking about dreams of falling or sinking, and their meaning might surprise you. You're falling through space, your stomach lurching as you plummet downward. Or maybe you're sinking into deep water, watching the surface grow more distant above you. These sensations feel so real that they often jolt us awake, our hearts racing. There's a common myth that if you hit the ground in your dream, you'll die in real life. But here's the truth. Many people have experienced hitting the ground in their dreams, and they're very much alive to tell about it. What's more interesting is what these falling dreams are actually trying to tell us. Falling dreams often occur when we're feeling overwhelmed or out of control in our waking life. But unlike chase dreams, where we're running from something, or test dreams, where we're trying to prove ourselves, falling dreams often represent something deeper: our relationship with surrender and trust. Think about the physical sensation of falling. There's nothing you can do to stop it. No amount of struggling changes your trajectory. In this way, falling dreams often appear when we're fighting against something we can't control. Maybe a major life change, a shift in relationships, or a transition in our career. The environment you're falling through matters too. Falling through empty space might represent feeling untethered or without support. Sinking in water often relates to being overwhelmed by emotions, and falling from a specific height, like a building or cliff, might connect to fear of failure from a particular position in your life. But here's what makes falling dreams particularly fascinating. They often appear when we're on the verge of a breakthrough. Just like a roller coaster creates that stomach-dropping sensation before surging forward, these dreams might show up when we're about to move into a new phase of life. The way you fall is significant too. Are you falling backward? This might suggest you're retreating from something. Falling forward, you could be afraid of what's ahead. Spinning as you fall, you might feel like your life is spiraling out of control. So what can we learn from all these dream meanings? Whether you're being chased, losing teeth, missing trains, or falling through space, your dreams are trying to tell you something important about your waking life. Here are 3 key takeaways to remember. First, your dreams speak in symbols. The scenarios they create might seem random, but they're often perfect metaphors for your real-life experiences and emotions. Second, recurring dreams deserve special attention. If you keep having similar dreams, your subconscious is likely trying to bring something important to your awareness. Finally, remember that dreams aren't predictions. They're reflections. They show us what we're processing, what we're worried about, and sometimes what we need to face. Want to understand your dreams better? Try keeping a dream journal by your bed. Write down your dreams as soon as you wake up before they fade away. Over time, you might start noticing patterns that offer valuable insights into your subconscious mind. And here's a question for our community. Which of these 7 dream types do you experience most often? Share your story in the comments below. Your experience might help others understand their own dreams better. Remember, dreams aren't just stories we tell after waking up. They're messages from our deeper selves, trying to help us understand what we truly feel and need. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to catch our next video.